All right, so let's try some of these basic Linux commands just so we can walk through here. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through a couple of the basics. So the first thing is pwd, print my working directory. So I print my working directory, right? Other thing that you'll probably see me ask is who am I? Right? So you want to know, like, okay, where am I? Print your working directory. Who am I? Basically, like, who am I logged in as, right? If you want a little bit more granular information, you could see the user ID, the group ID, and the groups that you're a member of. So I can be, in this case, I'm a root user, and in this case, I'm logged in as root, and I'm in a group called root. You can have a user that's a regular user, useradd Joe, right? Pass wd Joe, and Joe's password. I'll make it the same. Okay, all right, so now I've created this password, which will cd into the home directory, and I'll make a directory called Joe, right? And then I'll change the ownership of Joe to be Joe, and then I'll change the group to be Joe. Okay, so the reason that I did that is so now when user Joe logs in, Joe has a home directory, so let's su to Joe. Now I'm logged in as Joe, and if I cd to my home directory, it will put me in home/Joe. Now, did you guys notice I created that directory, cd to the home, I created a directory called Joe. I changed the ownership of it to be Joe, chown, change ownership. So the owner is Joe. I changed the group to be Joe, okay? And now if I do an ID, you'll see Joe is 1000 UID, 1000 GID. Now you can do usermod. Right, so you can usermod Joe, I think it's going to be -G, right? And you can throw them in the root group, right? So now I can su to Joe, right? And let's cd to my home directory. And I can run that ID command, and now you see how I put Joe in the root group? This is no different than how in Windows, you can create a user account and put the user account in the administrator's group. Same thing, same thing. A couple of other things that we can do. So let's say I do a, okay, so that command that we just ran, I want to look for it, right? So like, I don't know where it is. Here's a really good one. So I tried to look for the pwd command, right? Here's a way that you can look for it. Where is pwd? And you can see that it's in the bin directory or binary, but I prefer to do it with the find command. I prefer to say, hey, find, right? Start in the root, look for anything with the name pwd. Now I did that as a user. So if you look, this is gonna tell you I'm a regular user, right? And this is the username I'm logged in as. Well, he says, hey man, you're not in the sudoers file. For anybody who wants to run something at a higher privilege level, you gotta put that user in the privileged users group, which I did, and I have to add them to the sudoers file. So anybody who's gonna use the sudo command, I gotta put them in that group, right? So let me do that. So you're gonna see the way I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do two things. So I'm gonna vim etc passwd first, and I'm gonna go way down here, and I'm gonna change that, okay, because I don't like how that, you always see me typing bin bash. Okay, so what I'm doing here, guys, is I am changing my regular command shell to be bin bash instead of bin sh, which is what it was. Okay, that's just because I just personally like the bash shell. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to vi sudo, and then down here you're going to see me put in Joe, and I'm going to put in all this right here. There you go. Okay, so the reason that I'm doing that is I want to be able to run these sudo commands. Let me ask you to Joe. Right now, let's go back and run that command I tried to run. There you go. Sudo find, start from the root directory, look across the whole file system for anything named pwd. Okay, so he wants my password to do it. I give it to him. All right, now it's working. So now he found it in bin pwd, and he also found it user share bash completions pwd. Now we're cooking with Crisco. So that was what I have to do so that you can modify this user's permissions. So these are the kinds of things that they're going to want you to understand how to do in the Linux file, in the Linux Plus.